Hello, we're just gonna let everyone get in before we start. As
Welcome,
usual.
welcome.
Welcome.
Right, a few more minutes. We've got a lot to pack in tonight, so I'm not going to give them too much time to get in, but
Oh, it looks like everyone is in who was waiting,
one more joining. All right. Well, we'll get started. Hello, hello. I'm Suzanne Nielsen, and Laura's with me too. And we are going to cover the Snow Mantra shawl, which I have right here. It's a beautiful, a very large shawl, and we have kits for it. So Laura's going to tell us all about that, but there is a lot of very interesting techniques in this one. So I hope even if you aren't like have your heart set on this shawl, you might still be interested in some of the techniques that are in it, because there's a lot of really interesting things. And so I'm going to go over all the techniques that you'll need for this shawl, and a few little tips. And then Laura knit this one, so she is very familiar with it, so she can help us a lot with any questions more specifically too. But because there's a lot to cover, I'm going to just dive in right away, and then we're going to stop along the way as I have to like catch up to show you the next part. And then we also have a lot of exciting things planned. So this, we are going to give away a $25 gift certificate. So Laura gets to do that a little bit later. And yeah, I'm going to dive right in. There's going to be time later where we're going to tell you more about the pattern and the kits and all that kind of stuff. So stick with us. And the first thing is that this pattern, it starts with a very small cast on. So let me show you the shawl. You're starting at the top here, this cast on, and then you block the sides out to get it. Let me get my camera to focus here, guys. Focus, focus, there we go. So that's what I'm going to show you. So first we have the cast on, and then we're going to do a 1 to 19 increase. Yes, 1 stitch into 19 stitches, which makes this crazy little curve here. And so that's what we're going to cover first, and then we're going to do an I-cord. For this pattern, you actually do an I-cord bind off. Every time you see this I-cord through the pattern, it's actually a complete bind off. So you're doing an I-cord bind off and then picking up stitches every time. Honestly, when I first read this pattern, I thought, wow, that's annoying. But after doing this little bit, and Laura even admitted that it's really kind of, you get in the flow, and it doesn't feel, it's kind of fun once you get into the flow. So, but that's another good reason to watch and see if, you're interested and you think you can put up with, with that I-cord bind off cast on. But then this is a really interesting part too. You use 2 colors at the same time, but not, I'll show you when we get there, but we'll cover that next. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna dive in and then we'll stop and talk along the way. But do interrupt me, sorry, if you have specific questions for me to stop. So the first thing is I did the cast on and I purled back, and now we do this, I think it's a slip first, slip 1, and then I'm gonna knit into, I get to the middle, and then we're gonna do this 1 to 19 increase. And it is a little bit daunting. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it. I will slow down and show it with both hands too. Let me just make sure I got the right. So I'm supposed to knit 10, and then I'm going to do this 1 to 19 increase. All right.
And I will tell you, the first time you do this 1 to 19 increase, it's a little bit awkward because there's just not that much on the shawl yet. Yes. But once you learn the first couple sections of the shawl, like the first 2 sections, will teach you everything you need to know for all the rest of the shawl. Yep. And I'm going to cover all of that hopefully tonight. So, all right. So for the 1 to 19 increase, it is, so I did this knit 10, and then I knit 1 and then yarn over,
and actually, sorry, I just knit one and then turn first. So I'm going to do it the way the pattern is written. Then I'm going to do it the way that I would do it, because you know me, I don't like to turn. So, but the pattern is written. So you knit one and then you turn your work. And then you do a yarn over. Yes, it looks weird there. Yarn over and then purl one. And then you turn your work back around. And then you knit one. Or wait, oh, I have to make sure I'm doing it right. And then you, yeah, yarn over, purl one. Oh, yarn over, knit one. Yeah. So you're always going to do the yarn over first. So yarn over and then knit one. And then turn. And then yarn over and purl one.
So basically what you're doing is you're always going to be knitting and purling, kind of creating a vertical column of stitches, but you're going to be adding yarn overs to the side of it each time you go back and work that center stitch. So you're adding your stitches at the side.
Mm-hmm.
If that kind of makes sense.
Turned again. So yarn over, purl one. And next time I'm going to show you how I would do it. So turn. I just don't like flipping back and forth like that. But you can see, as Laura said, we're building up stitches on either side of this center stitch that's flowing up. And we can count, we can kind of keep going until we have 9 on this side, which is helpful. So I just turned back, so now I should do a yarn over and knit one. Okay, and now instead of turning and purling, I'm going to work backwards. So I'm going to do a yarn over stitch, but on my left needle. So now I'm working on my left needle, stick the left needle into the, what's like the back of the stitch on the right needle. And then wrap your yarn, pull it through the window and let the stitch jump off. Okay, so
that's exactly how I did mine.
That's how you did yours, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was working backwards. So now we're ready to do the knit one. So it's just yarn over and knit one. Okay, and now I'm gonna switch hands so you can see what it looks like if you throw your yarn. Okay, so this is where it's a little bit more, I would say, complicated, but you're still gonna wrap your yarn just like you would for the yarn over. Wrap your yarn for the yarn over, go into the back of the stitch. Sorry, I was trying to stay on camera and not be super awkward. And then wrap your yarn and pull it through the window and off. Okay, and now we do a yarn over and knit one. Okay, let's count how many we have here. So we have 5. See, there's a lot of these. We have to get up to 9 on the side. Like, okay, so now I know I need to work onto this needle because my yarn is coming off of this needle. So I'm going to do my yarn over on the left needle and then work into the back of that stitch, wrap my yarn and bring it through and off. All right, so now I'm doing a yarn over knit. And now it's yarn over and what would be purl if we were turning and purl.
And I will say this is the most awkward the very first time you do it because you have so few stitches on the needle and it's such an extreme angle. It's not as hard once you get further into the shawl.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. So let's see how many I'm at now. 7. All right, so here we go. Yarn over knit. Yarn over purl. I'll just call it purl because that's what we're doing, working backwards. Okay, so yarn over knit and yarn over purl, and then one more yarn over, knit, and then we'll count again. I think I got it this time. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I need one more. Okay. Yarn over, purl, and yarn over, knit. All right, now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yay. All right, so that's it. Now we have to knit. And like Laura said, it's very awkward. But I think as you get going, it gets better. But we just knit all those stitches that we just created. I do find that I have to really like slide my needle forward and back, just because it's really hard to get into these stitches. But that's how it's working for me. You always want to make sure that you slide your stitches onto the big part of the needle, because if you stay knitting all your stitches just right at the tip, then eventually it's going to get super hard because your stitches will all be too small. So I knit the stitch, and then I make sure that I slide my needle all the way so that the stitches are on the big part of the needle. So we just knit all of those stitches. All right.
That is the hardest increase, because the other increase in the pattern is far fewer stitches.
Yes. Yes. So after we do that big increase, then you switch to another color yarn and purl back. And I am going to show you that, even though, it's just purling back, but it looks crazy because you have this goop right here. So you'll turn your work and you'll see this, and it looks really, not nice, but have faith, keep going, and get your next color of yarn. Oh goodness, where's my tail? There we go. And I'll just quickly show you purling that. And then we do an I-cord bind off, and I will show you that a little bit, and then we'll get to more yarn information. So it is your edge stitches are always slip one knitwise. So slip one knitwise, and then we'll purl across here, and I'll show you what it looks like when you get to this crazy mass. Okay, here's the start of the mass, but just keep working, just keep going, just concentrate on the stitch that's next. So I can kind of see it, and I just go in and grab that one, and just don't pay attention to anything else that's going on, especially when you get into this area. I just kind of found that next stitch and work it. See, it looks a little strange, but it works out if you just keep going.
So the shaping of this shawl is basically created by extreme increases and decreases. So for instance, when you're creating kind of a Ripley shawl with feather and fan, a lot of times you're creating a bunch of yarn overs over a small section, and then you're knitting two together or SSKing on either side of that. That's sort of what's happening here, except that instead of creating yarn over, instead of like knit two together 3 times and then knit one yarn over a bunch of times and then SSK 3 times, you're doing all your yarn overs in one stitch, and then you're doing all your decreases in one stitch. So it's a little bit more extreme, but that's how you get all those really cool ripples and shaping in the shawl itself.
All right, so we got that craziness, and now I'm going to bind off, which is another crazy thing to do at this point in your project, don't you think? But it works. So for now, the designer recommends too that you do a loop cast on, she calls it. I always called it a backward loop. I don't know. But you basically I take my thumb and make a little loop and go backwards so that you have like a little twist that goes around your needle. So you're going to just cast on 2, and it really doesn't matter. You could just do a knit cast on. You could knit cast on 2 stitches right there. But this is just a regular basic I-cord. So it's a 2-stitch I-cord. So we'll knit, come on, knit, and then knit 2 together through the back loops. Let's see, through the back loop. Oops. All right, knit 2 together through the back loop, and then slide those 2 stitches back onto your left needle and do it again. So I'll do a few of these and then we'll pause and talk about more about the yarn and that kind of thing. So knit 2 through the back loop, slide these over.
And if you're not familiar with an I-cord bind off, there are other tutorials on our Zen Yarn Garden YouTube channel. We have done I-cord bind offs several times, and you can find all of those videos, including this one tomorrow. Will be on our YouTube channel, and I'm going to add a link to the chat for that.
Yes. And usually, I think the last all I-cord binds offs we've done have been 3-stitch, but it's the exact same concept. This is just only 2 stitches.
And actually, the funny thing is that for the first section of I-cord, I didn't read carefully, and I think I did actually do a 3-stitch. But the rest of them are all.
Well, I'm going to check. See if I can tell on the shawl. All right, but yeah, let's well, I don't know, do you want to still see my hands do the rest of the bind off, or is that annoying? No, that's not annoying. I see one person say, okay, I'm gonna do this. Laura's gonna talk to us about what yarn she used in the kits. And then maybe she can show the website too at some point, but
yeah, we'll have to turn off your hands if I show the website.
Yeah, that's fine.
But so the yarn that we used for this is Zen Yarn Garden Serenity Silk Plus, and we used 2 separate colorways. Plus, let me hang on just a second. Let me you know what? I'm going to unpin you for just a. Can you switch out for just a second? Because I do want to show them a couple things.
Okay. Yes.
Sorry.
No, I didn't know if you could do it without me or not.
So let me do that, and then let me share. Okay, so I am going to, my screen keeps hopping around, but let me pin this. Apparently not. She turned off her okay, hang on. Let me share my screen.
Okay. You're hosting, right? I don't have
I'm just going to share my screen. So this is the Snow Mantra kit, and I put a link to it in the chat. And what I wanted to show you is, so here are some of the beauty photos. We got some really great photos of it. This is overall what we're creating. And every section is basically the same 6 rows over and over again. It's just a question of which colors you're using together. So the colors that we used for this are, we have a photo of them right here. So we used Zen Yarn Garden Serenity Silk Plus, which is a very, very light fingering weight. And so kind of on the border between a really heavy lace weight and a really light fingering weight. We used 2 skeins of the Serenity Silk Plus, which are 100 grams and 500 yards. And we used it in the natural colorway, and then what Roxanne is calling Mantra Pink. And then we used a really cool new gradient blank that she dyed, and she's calling that the Mantra Gradient. So
and
the kit
Laura,
is
did
available.
you use the same needle size? Does the pattern call for fingering weight, or is this a little bit lighter than the pattern?
I think the pattern is in fingering weight. You're correct.
But did you use
this one's still blocked out to be a really generous shawl size.
Yeah.
So
I don't. You probably still use the bigger needle than, or the same needle that they called for.
I used the needle that they called for on this one, actually. So, and I will say that you'll get very close to the end of your gradient. You will not come close to running out of the other two skeins. I mean, you'll use a good portion of them, but it was the gradient that I was sweating a little bit. And when it turned out, I had like 5 to 9 grams left over at the end. So you'll definitely make it through, but you will use up a good chunk of it. So those kits are on sale right now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And those kits are on sale right now. And there is a code, and it looks like Roxanne just put it in there now. If you use the code SNOW at checkout, you'll save 20% for 48 hours only. So that expires on February 2nd. And it is enough that you will get free shipping in the US and Canada. And I'm trying to think what else. This shawl looks really daunting and has a lot of techniques that Suzanne is feverishly going through today. But once you get through the first 2 sections, you just keep repeating those sections over and over. You're just getting larger and larger amounts of stitches on your needle. So once you kind of figure out what's going and how it works, it's really the same. And then it's just a question of whether you're going to change your background color, whether you're going to use the natural or the pink. So I think that's mostly what I have. I can vamp with more if you need more time.
No, well, I'll just put my camera back on and then you'll see when I'm done.
Great.
I'm almost done. But you can see what's happening is because we're doing that I-cord bind off around this. Oh goodness, I did something really wrong there. Did I? Yes, I did. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll keep going and show you what I did, but it makes that I-cord form around the that increase that we did. And once I get back, then I'll show you, because now we have to go back and pick up all along that that I-cord, which is another interesting technique. We're going to pick up purlwise. So that's a little different. And then we have a 2-stitch section that's really interesting, or two color, a row that we work with
short
both
row.
yarns. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple of rest rows on this, and they're both purl rows.
Yes.
And one of the purl rows is picking up into your I-cord. So it literally is, each section is 6 rows.
Mm-hmm. And at the beginning, it's like you do feel like you're getting a lot done because you.
Yeah, I knit through the first 6 or 8 sections in the first couple nights once I figured out what was going on.
Yeah. Okay, I'm almost to the end. And then let's see. We actually get to cut this darker yarn.
Yeah, that is the one other thing you will, you're picking up and ending at slightly different sides on the shawl. So a lot of times you'll end up cutting, and she's very good. So every section is written out for how many repeats you'll need, which sections you'll be repeating, and whether or not you should cut your yarn at the beginning or the end. So the pattern is really well written. I had no problems with that.
And it has photo tutorials.
Yeah, it has photo diagrams on how to do all the increased stitches and such.
Yes, that's really good. All right, so I got where I bound off everything, and I just have the 2 stitches left that I cast on basically. Then you turn your work, and you can cut this yarn. Which of course I don't have my scissors, so I will untwist. This is a trick if you don't know it. You untwist your yarn. If you untwist it enough, then it's possible to break it. If you don't untwist it, it's really hard, or at least I'm not that strong. But if you untwist the yarn, and sometimes I even untwist some of the little individual plies, and then you can break it. Okay. Then we're gonna pick up, we're gonna go back. So now our first color is hanging out here, fortunately, waiting for us. How did I do this? I turned it, but it's in the wrong hand. Okay. Okay, so she does have you bind off 1 stitch. So you're gonna take 1 stitch, and then move that over the top so that you're left with just 1 stitch. And then you want to make sure you can see the right side has some of the smooth knit stitch. And so we were going to pick up on the wrong side. All right, don't lose that stitch. So you just leave that stitch there and come back to your other yarn, which we did not cut. So it's still attached. And we're going to pick up purlwise. So you can look at your I-cord, and I'll show you my other sample that's a little farther along. I did it in black yarn, and that was really hard to see. So I changed yarns for you guys. But we're going to pick up, you can see this chain that's right along. It's nice, pretty chain that's formed as part of this I-cord. And we're just going to be picking up the loops that are in the front here. So, and we're going to pick up purlwise, which is maybe a little different than what you've done before. But we're going to take this loop. So this one, you can see, and this one, and this one. So we'll come into it kind of from the top in this way, and then, wrap your yarn and kind of just pretend like you're purling into that stitch. But what I find, I don't know if you found this, Laura, but it seems like it's really hard for me to wrap my yarn the correct way and pick up that stitch. So what I found myself doing is wrapping my yarn, like scooping it this way. And that just was easier for me to get the yarn, but then all my stitches are mounted the opposite way, and we'll have to adjust for that, but you just knit into the back of the stitch. So that's what I did. I think you can find whatever way is easiest for you. The key is to keep your yarn to the front when it's like you're pretending that you're purling, and pick up purlwise. So into the stitch and grab it, and then you can see that. So I'm just going into it kind of from the top, and then grabbing, oops, I split the yarn there, and grabbing the stitch, and just keeping my yarn to the front and grabbing it. Okay, let's see. I didn't try doing this with my other hand, but I will try.
Now, I will tell you that one of the things that she suggests at specific rows is to use a locking stitch marker and mark the center stitch. And that will help as you're picking up stitches in the I-cord the first couple times when you're trying to make sure that you have the right number of stitches, because she'll tell you how many stitches you're supposed to have on either side of that center stitch.
Okay.
Yes. And I found that I didn't do it as the amounts got larger, because my ability to count to 100 accurately multiple times is a little different. But in the very beginning, it was very helpful to say, oh, okay, I have 20 stitches on one side and 20 stitches on the other.
Okay.
So
yes, good point. So I'm finding that when I pick up, if I'm throwing my yarn, it is easier for me to wrap it the correct direction. So you just figure out what is easiest for you, I would say.
I think after picking up the first one, it's a little bit easier because you've already got it kind of set as a purl. So it's like set coming out of the bottom of the, you know what I'm saying? Yes. So like it's kind of anchored, so it's easier to.
Mm-hmm. And this first one is a little hard to pick up around because you have such a sharp U-turn. But you just keep going, and just it'll all be scrunched and on your needle, and it'll come out fine.
Yeah, it's like if you've ever tried to knit too few stitches on a short circular needle, and the first round or the first couple rounds are really, really awkward. And then as you add more stitches or build up, it gets easier and easier. So like later sections, when you add the 19, it's not as hard.
Not as hard, but this one, you just have to kind of force it a little bit.
I suppose this probably could have been a knit along rather than a tutorial Tuesday, huh?
I know, we're packing a lot in here, but I'm gonna get through this, and then I'll show you. I've got the next part on the needles already. So, and actually maybe I'll just stop here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just pick up. Yes. And then once you turn, then we get into the section where we're doing, oops, I'm going to show you what it looks like on my sample here. All right, I'm going to show you on this part of the sample because it's kind of interesting. So this is what we're going to do next. Okay, it's a little hard to see. So I have two colors here. I have a black and then my lighter that's unfortunately has some purple right here. So that's
You have the shawl back from Gail because it'll be you did.
Yes, but it doesn't look the same at first. So the first time you do it, you just have these like diagonals. And then after,
right, because it doesn't move the same way.
And then after you get past the row, look at what it does to that row. These were all just like nice diagonals, but then they become this like really cool, funky design because you put all these twists and turns in after them. So it really, it makes it look even more complicated than it really is. But really, these parts are just these nice diagonal lines within that row that I'm going to show you how to do right now. And then once you get to the next rows, they just morph. They morph a little bit into whatever they are next. All right, so on the next part, it is, let me just make sure I'm saying everything exactly correct. So the next row is it's called the like alternating yarns row, say, and you're going to use 2 yarns at the same time. I picked up all of those stitches, and now I go into this alternating row. So I start with yarn A, and that's my light colored yarn. So I knit 3 stitches. And then let's see, so you knit 3. And then you don't turn, but you slip these 3 stitches back. 1, 2, 3. So almost like an I-cord, like you're doing an I-cord, you slip those stitches back. And then we're gonna knit, this is where I guess I use the new yarn now. Okay. Now I use the yarn B, but I keep this yarn here and it's actually going to get used along the way. So next I knit 6 stitches with the new yarn. Okay, 6 stitches, and now I'm going to do it the way, it's written, of course, with a wrap and turn, but I'll show you without wrapping next. So we're going to wrap and turn this stitch. So I'm going to slip the stitch, bring the yarn to the front and slip the stitch back. And then I'm going to turn my work. And now I'm going to knit again. So now I'm going to knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and then do a wrap and turn. So slip the stitch, bring the yarn to the front, slip the stitch back, and turn. Okay, now I'm going to drop color B and grab color A somewhere. I always just kept my like color A on the bottom and then color B on the top.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Is that what you did, Laura? I don't know. Then they don't spiral around each other.
Basically, it doesn't matter which is on the top and which is on the bottom, as long as you do it consistently, and then they won't twist. Yeah.
So now I have 3 stitches that are this other color. I'm going to knit 6 again. So I'm going to pass those 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then do another wrap and turn. So slip, bring the yarn to the front, slip it back, turn your work, and knit back. 1, 2, 3, slip, bring the yarn to the front, slip the stitch back. That's my wrap and turn, and turn. Okay, now I drop that yarn and I do it again. So you just work your way back and forth between doing the same thing with each different yarn. So I just leave this one hang out here in the back. You can see it there, but leave it hanging out there, and I grab my new yarn and I'm going to knit. So this time I'm going to do it without turning because I hate turning. So now I knit 3, 1 or 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to do my wrap and turn just like I did before. I'll slip the stitch, bring the yarn to the front, and slip the stitch back. And now instead of turning and knitting, I'm going to work in the opposite direction, but it's a little trickier because usually when I work backwards, I get to keep my yarn towards the back, but this time it's a knit going the other direction. So I need to keep my yarn to the front. So I still go into that same stitch, the same way as I would before. So I come into this stitch and then wrap my yarn and bring it down. So I'm just going to do 3 stitches this way. And now I'm going to wrap and turn a stitch. So I'll slide my stitch over, bring the yarn between the needles, and then slide that stitch back, and then pick up my other yarn. All right, so knit 6, 4, 5, 6, and wrap and turn. Okay, I'm gonna do the knit backwards again, just so you can see it. Actually, here, let me try and switch hands, maybe. Okay, if you are normally a picker and you're working backwards, you're vice versa. So I had to become a thrower, and now if I hold the yarn where I'm normally a thrower, I should be able to become a picker, but that is easier said than done for me. Oftentimes I still throw.
It's just awkward when it's not your.
Yes, it's not my normal side. So there I wrapped the yarn the opposite direction, but that's the way that was easiest for me.
I will say, unlike Suzanne, I have never mastered purling backwards. So
okay. So
I
you turned
actually
on this?
turned every time.
Okay. So possible.
I mean, if you can do it, great. But if not,
yes. If not, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I've only mastered knitting backwards. For whatever reason, my brain can't comprehend purl.
Yes.
So
it's a little different. But obviously I can't do it when I'm doing my opposite that I'm not used to. But I like it when I'm my other way. So
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll just do maybe one more time, but that's it. You just keep going, keep doing that until you get to the end. See there, I have a stitch that's wrapped the opposite way, so I had to work into the back loop. And
your 4th will always be the stitch that's wrapped.
Right.
From the previous round.
Right. So this is like that 4th stitch that was wrapped. So, but I still always have 6. And when you get to the end, you just kind of keep going. And she says it's going to work out differently for each row, depending on if you have, I don't know how many stitches are on, if it's a multiple.
Sometimes you might only have 2 left at the end. Sometimes you might have 4. The idea is that if you don't have enough to knit and wrap again, then just knit off in whatever finished color. So let's say you have 6 stitches at the end and you knit them in white, then you would go back and you would knit like 3 of them in orange.
Yes.
Or if you have 5 stitches, you would knit the 5 in white and then go back through and knit the last 2 in orange.
Yes. So you just finish by having knit basically all the stitches with both colors, kind of. All right, so here's my wrap and turn back.
And for those of you who are thinking, wow, this is super complicated, like I said, the pattern is really well written. There are lots of diagrams. And as you start to read through the pattern, if you read through the pattern and then watch this video again, it will be available on our YouTube. It will also be up on our Facebook. It will start to make a little bit more sense, I think.
Yes. And so now you can see like what we've done here. We have this row I did one row from my I-cord, right? Well, I picked up stitches, but then basically this is all like this distance here is just that one row that we've been doing because we've been working back and forth. And it's all just neat, like straight diagonals with the two colors. But I'm going to switch now to my other sample. It's really just one row after this. So you can
so
see
basically
here,
you do the 2-color row and then you purl back.
Purl back. So that's what I did. I did the 2-color row and then purled back with color A, so the light color. And then you start, you do in this next row, which I'm going to do really quick, and then we'll do the gift certificates and then any last questions. But so there's 2 more big techniques left. So on this next row, so we purled back. On the next row, we do a 1 to 9 increase, and basically the opposite of that, which is, going from 1 stitch to 9 stitches, increasing by 8, we're going to decrease by 8 in this center double decrease. So here is where I increase to 9 stitches. So that's what this big messy clump looking thing is. And then we do a decrease by here. So we're going to do these center double decrease stitches that are all going to line up. So we're going to end up decreasing. It's like I took all these stitches were on my needle and I decreased them all together. So that's what I'm going to show now. Now I'm going to show the increase 1 to 9. And it's a little bit easier. It's easier than the 1 to 19, and it is very different too. So that's interesting. But to start with the 1 to 9 increase, we just do a knit 1. Let's see. It's just knit 1. And then don't slip it off, and then yarn over and knit 1 into that same stitch. And then we can slip it off. So now I just made 3 stitches. But then I'm going to take the first 2 stitches and slip them back onto the left needle. And then do that over and over and over again. So all into this stitch. This is now my stitch that I'm working on basically. So I do a knit into it and a yarn over and then knit into it again. And then let it slip off.
So what you're doing is you're always going to be increasing in the very center stitch of what you're creating. So you're going back to that center stitch. So you have a line of stitches and you're doing the knit 1, yarn over, knit in that center stitch.
Yes, knit. It's actually kind of the yarn overs, right? That you end up. So then I just slip only 2 stitches back, and I keep doing that until I have enough stitches. So now I count really. So I have 2 over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to keep doing it more. So I knit into it, yarn over, and knit into it again. Okay, now we can count again if we want to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, yay, we got it. So now I just knit across those stitches. And that completes it. And in this particular row, I just get to knit 1 and then I do another one of those. So I'll show you another one really quickly and then we'll give our gift certificate away. So we're doing 1 stitch into 9. So knit into it, yarn over, knit into it. Okay, that gave me 3. Now knit into it, yarn over, knit into it. That should be 6. 5. Slip these 2 back. Knit into it, yarn over, knit into it.
That's going to give you 7.
7. All right. And I miscounted before. Okay. And now I should have, this should be the last time, right? Knit into it, yarn over, and knit into it. All right. And then we just knit across those 3. So the other way to do it is after if you can count 3 over here, then that's the right number because you knit across those 3. All right, let's take a pause before I show the decrease. and do the gift certificate.
Okay. So go ahead and open your chat. I'm going to ask a question and I will take the third correct answer. Tonight, it's a $25 gift certificate and you can stack things. So if you choose to purchase a Snow Mantra kit, you can get your 20% off with the code SNOW, and then you can also apply your gift card. I'm vamping so everybody can open their chats. Okay, the question is, what was the first increase that Suzanne showed? How many stitches are we increasing to? Oh, you all got it. Let me scroll back because I said I'd take the third. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. The third is Francine Fell. So Francine, go ahead and message Zen Yarn Garden. They're here in the chat. You can just select them in the chat, send her your email address, and she will get you your $25 gift card.
Yay. Yay, yay. All right, now I'm going to show the last technique and then we can squeeze in some questions. All right, so the last crazy technique is this decrease by 8 stitches. So I just did my crazy increase to 9 stitches. And then I had knit just a few knit stitches. And now the tricky part with this decrease is that the first part of the decrease is just to knit 3. So you do want to make sure that you don't forget to do that and just start doing the decrease, because then it will be a little bit offset. So the first part is knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to do just what is a regular center double decrease. And I like this stitch. I've used it a lot in a lot of my patterns, and I have a little trick for doing it. So I'm going to show you my trick. My trick is just to pretend like you're knitting these 2 stitches together. So it's just like knit 2, and then go to the back and grab the back of the 3rd stitch. And then wrap your yarn. And it seems like it might be a mess, but really if you just pull your needle, pull this needle down a little bit, it will kind of just easily pop the stitch through all 3 of those stitches through that window. And then you can slip those off. And what that does is it puts the center stitch, the middle of the 3 stitches that we're decreasing, kind of on top. So that's why it's called a center double decrease. So we did that once. And now we're going to slip 2 stitches back and do it again so that this stitch always stays as our center double decrease. So now we do it again. So we pretend like you're knitting 2 together and then go back and grab that stitch and yarn over and pull through. All right.
Much like we're always increasing into the center stitch or around the center stitch, we're always decreasing through the center stitch.
Yes. So it's pretty easy to count too. Like I've done it twice now, and this is a center, I think she calls it 4 decrease. So we want to do that 4 times so that we are decreasing by 8 stitches. So slip those 2 stitches back, go in like you're knitting 2 together, go to the back, grab it, pull through. All right, slip 2 stitches back. Last one, I think. Go through the 2, go to the back loop, and bring it through.
And like I said, these extreme increases and decreases are how the shawl is going to create that ripple pattern.
Yes. So that's kind of cool, right? We just took all of these stitches that were on our needle and like shooped them up to this one little line.
If you compare it to how like the 19 increase looks, or even the you can see it kind of has a little bit of a similar look. You're getting your line and you've got your stitches coming out of it, or you've got your stitches going into it.
Yes. So here's
like they're not exactly the same, but it makes it easy to kind of line things up because you're always going to be in a row.
Yep. And you want to stay in that row. So yay, that is it though. I mean, look how much we covered in just however long, 45 minutes, I guess.
Well, I was going to say, she's now gone over every technique that you need to know to knit the shawl. So you can watch this video again and stop it and look at the portion of it that you need for whatever section you're on. And you can always find us either in the Facebook group or at Can We Help You at zenyarngarden.com. So,
and like I said, I really, after reading the pattern, I was thinking this is really going to be annoying. But after actually working even these first few rows, it doesn't seem quite as bad. And Laura doing the whole thing.
well, I will say, okay, so my take on it was the first couple rows, I was like, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? I don't know if I can do this. And then as soon as I did those first 2 rows, I was like, oh, well, it's just going to basically be you do section 1 and section 2, and then you basically alternate them. So all the odd numbers are all going to be kind of like section 1, and the even numbers are all going to be kind of like section 2, and you're just going to continue to alternate through those, and you're just going to be building your shawl.
It's nice. I like things, when they line up, and you can it's easy to tell if you've really gone astray somewhere because you won't be lined up. And really, you only have the only place you do that 19 increase is in the center. So you don't have quite as many as you might think. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, something like in the whole shawl. So the 19 one is that crazy one.
Yeah.
But it is just a really nice, big, beautiful shawl that you can wear and cozy up with anyway.
Okay.
So any questions? Do we have any questions?
Unrelated to this shawl, the gnome over my shoulder is called Choose Your Gnome Adventure. It's a pattern by Sarah Shira, who is Imagine Landscapes, and I knit the large size, so it's in worsted to bulky.
Cool.
Sorry, that was in the thread.
So yeah. Cool.
This would probably work in other colorways. If you wanted to pick out some colors, I'm sure you could work up a custom package with Roxanne. Again, hit the Can We Help You at Zen Yarn Garden, and you could probably pick any of the gradients and then do the natural color, and then maybe there would be a semi-solid that would go with that. But I can't speak.
Or
I can't
even
speak
just 2
Roxanne.
natural colors. I think it would look really good. Right.
Yeah.
Just if you wouldn't have to have the pink, you could just do 2 natural and 1 cake. I think that would be really pretty.
Yeah, you could just do it all in white if you wanted as the background color, and then
yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the darker color being the I-cord. I don't know. It probably would look. That's what I did in my sample too, I guess. I was gonna say it would probably look good to have it the other way too, but the trick is we worked it out like the most efficiently for the yardage.
Yeah.
So we wanted you to
because the gradient cakes are 750 yards compared to the regular skeins, which are 500. And you need that 750 to get through all of those sections. So you might be able to pick differently, but you'd have to
work it out. Yeah, you might you would end up buying a total of 4 skeins instead of just the cake and 2 skeins. So
you might be able to do it with 2 gradient cakes.
That would be interesting.
but yes, call Roxanne and she'll help you get through that.
Yes.
So
yes.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And
yes, thanks so much.
We've got some great ones coming up in February. There's going to be some knitting yoga, and then there are going to be some crochet ones in March. And we're also going to have a little yarn party in March, which is sort of a substitute for there isn't a Stitches or a Vogue Knit Live that we're going to be doing. So we're going to just build our own booth and call it a yarn party.
Yes, so come. We'll of course have lots of prizes and get to show you lots of these awesome samples that Laura has been knitting, and we'll see. Hopefully I'll have something done for then. We'll see.
Okay, have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you so much.